Hi guys, Lee Eldridge here from Cognitive Athlete, helping business dads improve their performance. I hope you're doing well. In this video, I'm going to talk about decision making and how we can improve that being a business dad. I've spent the last 20 years working with peak performers in both sport and business, and decision making or making the right decisions is key to improving performance. Think about on a rugby pitch or football pitch, the amount of decisions that you have to make in such a short period of time are massive, and in life it's exactly the same. I've spoken to over 60 business dads who have mentioned that decision making was up there as one of their biggest challenges, overwhelmed with decisions, knowing which way to go, what to do and how to do things. So in this video I'm going to break down the 5 things you can do to help improve decisions. Number 1, find your peak performance time. What happens is that we think we can just wake up, start work, have breakfast with our kids, get to the office or get to the home office, and then basically just start working as hard as we can all day long and expect our performance to be as good as it was when we first started working. Likewise, when we come home, we're then super tired, we can't engage with being a business dad or being a dad in any shape or form. So what you need to do is to understand when these peaks and troughs and rebounds are during the day. Normally, we find that people's peak performance time are around 4 to 5 hours of waking up. So obviously if you wake up at 5, 6, 7, then your peak performance hours are going to be a little bit later on in the day. And what I mean by that is we need to adjust our day so we put in the things that are our most important tasks and the things that are going to take our most energy and our most focus in those times. One thing that most people do is they make the mistake is by just booking in things to do or booking in really important meetings and not thinking about the time of day they're doing it. For example, if you have a really important meeting with a client, ideally you want to try and get that done in the morning if that's one of your most important things to do. If not, then you want to push it to later on in the afternoon. Now, when looking at these peak performance times, really we have about a maximum of 90 minutes, and we're looking at probably trying to get 2, maximum 3 during the course of the day. These are really high focused 90 minutes, so you can't kind of mess around in that time and you can't extend them out. So if you imagine 2 or 3 of them every day over the course of a week adds up to huge amounts of work, but it also adds up to huge amounts of fatigue. So making sure that you plan them during the day and take breaks accordingly. Planning these times is not just the time, but also the environment. Very difficult now when we're going back to a hybrid working situation and you're traveling into the office. You obviously want to spend time talking to colleagues and you don't want to look like you're ignoring them. But every interruption means that you need to restart your focus, restart that engagement back into the task you're doing. And what we're finding is that people's days are just actually 5 minutes spent here doing something, then doing something different, then doing something different. So we're just chopping in between tasks instead of picking that one thing that you're going to do it, recover. One thing, do it, recover, etc. Very similarly in terms of if you are trying to engage with your kids, is making sure that you are engaging with them. Phones away, trying not to think about work as much as possible because you are there for them. Step 2, most important tasks. Now I spoke a lot about this in other videos, but it is a key performance factor. You need to understand what are the most important things you should be doing. You need to make sure you step back and think about them, plan and then do them and then review. And what I mean by review is don't necessarily look at whether the work was completed, obviously very important, but think about how was your focus during that time? Were you engaged? Did you get an interruption? Were you able to focus and not think about other things? Being a business dad, it's really hard to do this. You might be playing with your kids and then a thought drops into your head about a client that you need to speak to or some part of your aspect of your job that you need to get done. But what we're trying to get you to do is practice thinking about one thing at one time. This is a skill and it can be improved, but you need to do it. Step 3, this is by far the hardest step you'll have to do. and might be impossible for some of you, which is protect your sleep. We know that sleep is the biggest recovery tool, and when we're talking about performance as a dad and as a business founder, business leader, sleep is hugely important. Now, if you've got a young family or young kids that are waking you up during the night, that can be difficult, that can be impossible. But what you want to be trying to do is build up that pre-bed routine. So at least you're able to go to bed at the right time, or at the time that you feel comfortable with. One of my pet peeves is, this whole idea about, yep, I finished work, I put the kids down, or we've had dinner, then you're going to sit down and then start watching a series on the television. How often do you find that one episode turns into 2 episodes, and then before you know it, it's 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, and then you're going to be waking up probably maybe in the night or really early, and you're not going to get enough sleep. So by setting a pre-bed routine, this is going to help. The next point to add on this protecting your sleep is, obviously, when we're tired and fatigued, what do? We reach for coffee, we reach for caffeine. Caffeine is probably one of the most researched supplements in the world, and it has huge benefit, but that comes with a cost. And if you are abusing your caffeine intake, and I mean by that is like taking it later on in the day, early evening, for example, that will affect your sleep. So try as much as possible to, if you're going to drink caffeine or take coffee or whatever it is going to be from a caffeine source, try and do that earlier on in the day. Step 4, be a human being. What do I mean by this? Well, we're not designed to sit still, be on a laptop all day long. We are designed to move. Human beings are designed to move. So you need to make sure that you are doing some form of movement each day, whether that be walking, yoga, stretching, whatever it is. You just need to make sure that you are getting some form of movement in during the course of the day. As we go back to a hybrid working now, obviously with some people's commute, they would have to walk to the train station, walk to the bus stop. But if you don't and you drive to the office, can you walk a little bit further away, park a little bit further away and walk to the office? Anything of those little things that you do add up. The next point to add on this human being step is that you need to breathe. We should be aiming for 5 to 6 breaths per minute. That can be impossible if you're having to engage with a client, if you're having to engage with your kids because you're talking. So therefore you're breathing more using your mouth. But when you're not doing that stuff, you can try nose to nose breathing, really slow it down. As I said, 5 to 6 breaths every minute. Check out our video about breathing where I walk you through an 8-minute breathing exercise that you can do in the morning to help you set that state, to help you with your performance. The link's just up in the top here. Number 5, the biggest one and the one that's going to take the longest time, and that is understanding your values. And what do I mean by that? Well, we know that if your actions are not matching your values, energy can be really difficult. If we think of it as a business dad, we want energy when we need it. We want energy when we get back from the office and we want to be engaging with our kids. We need energy in those meetings. So we find that if your values don't match your actions, you lack energy, and it can be really difficult. So taking time and sitting down and saying, right, what are my values? As a business founder, what are the values around the people that I've employed or I'm working with? What values do I want to create as a dad? And then also, can I help that with my children and their values? That is important. Once you do that, you'll be surprised how much energy you can get just from doing the simplest things. That's all for this short video on the 5 steps. My last kind of summary point is you want to apply it, review it, and apply it again. This is important. If we think about it in business, we're doing it all the time. We're testing our marketing, our email leads. How are we getting new clients? What's our conversion rate? What different things are we trying to do? But when it comes to being a business dad, we don't really stop and think about how do I improve my holistic performance as a dad in business. And one way that we can do that is by reviewing. And what I mean by reviewing is sitting down either at the end of the day, or especially good is on a weekend, Sunday morning, Sunday evening, and just reviewing how the week went. Right, what was my business performance like? What was my work performance like? What was my engagement like? Did I spend enough time in the office? Did I spend enough time with my kids? Did I move? Did I breathe? Did I do some kind of exercise? Did I have some kind of social engagement outside of the office, outside of the home? All those things adds up, and you can see what your progression is from week to week. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I am super keen to talk to business dads. So if you're interested in being one of my interviewees as a business dad, my email is in the link below, and also in the description below is our link to our free performance test, where you can go along and you can see how well you're doing in the areas that we know help with performance. You'll get a short report at the end, and from that you can go on and try and make some changes, retake the tests in 4 weeks or 8 weeks and see how you've done. But thanks so much. If you're keen to keep up to date with what we're going to be doing over the next few weeks, hit the subscribe button, and that like button would be amazing. So have a great rest of the week, and hopefully speak to you soon.